Hey guys, Paul Morrow here again for Offstats.org, doing a big news recap for Thursday, 10 July. Here we go. So, it's been a year since the attempt on Donald Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania. Boy, what a year, and it was a momentous one, right? Things have really changed. Now, I was out there a couple of times, full disclosure. I talked to a lot of people out there, etc., and I get the fact that a lot of people are upset that more Secret Service agents and supervisors didn't take a bigger hit. Story came out today that 6 of them were suspended without pay for various periods, but nobody was fired. And I understand it because, the Korean comparatore lost his life and 2 other civilians were injured, and Donald Trump was almost murdered. But let's just remember something else. This happened in February, the suspension of these agents. Donald Trump was president, and nobody here has more of a right to be outraged than Donald Trump. He was almost murdered, and the Secret Service is under him. So I have to assume that this was done with Donald Trump's compliance. He was okay with it, and he said, okay, that's discipline enough. I only say that because I don't know what the charges are against these people that were suspended. I don't know how they dropped the ball, what went wrong. Clearly they did. But I assume the new Secret Service head, Director Curran, and Donald Trump said this is enough because Trump had to sign off on it. There's no way this gets done without talking to Trump. These are the people who blew it and how he almost lost his life. Who does get off scot-free in my estimation, who nobody talks about, and it makes me crazy, is Alejandro Morcus. Let's remember something. Director Cheadle had to resign because of her lack of performance. Everybody knows that story. Okay, that's done deal, and then rightly so. She had to go. But she's under Mayorkas. The service is under DHS. Cheadle was in Aspen that Saturday when Donald Trump got shot, and they were going into the RNC. It was the next day, essentially, the RNC's festivities began, and then they were going to run that whole week. She was in Aspen for this bullshit security conference that happens every year up in Aspen, and she was due to speak Wednesday. She was going to be there all week. The RNC is a national security event, so is the DNC. That is just a matter of practice. They always are. There's only a few of them every year. And you know who designates them? The head of the Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Morcus in this instance. So he designates it so that they can get all these extra resources. That's why you designate it. And then he lets his head of the Secret Service go to Aspen for a week to give some bullshit speech on our time and our dime. That's like the coach of a Super Bowl football team deciding to go on vacation the week of the game and not showing up for the game. It is ridiculous. Mayorkas has never been held to account for that. That's the name that I feel we should really be hearing more about, and I hope we do. All right, let's move on. Number 2, Jeffrey Epstein, the story that won't die, and we had a troubling development today, man. It's, if you've seen it on X, it's only getting worse because Alan Dershowitz, a man I respect, a real lawyer, and who's been involved in this thing because he was accused and he sued. Well, Dershowitz is saying that he is aware of names that are implicated in the Epstein investigation as potential clients, quote unquote, people that would go to the island, I assume, and hung around with Epstein and took part in nefarious things. Now, I go back to what I said last night. I talked about it last night on Gutfeld as well. If this intelligence, the stuff about Epstein, which is likely stuff that's in federal holdings if he was a source, and it looks like he might have been some kind of at least soft assets, so there'll be paperwork on that. But it's really what you're talking about is the stuff they took out of the house, the houses, the one in Upper East Side of New York, the one in Florida, the one in the Bahamas. That's the stuff we're talking about here. And if they are protecting the entire investigation for the purposes of some kind of intelligence leverage that that America gains from that, I can live with that. If, however, they're just protecting bold-faced names from being implicated here, that I'm not okay with. And I'm sorry, Republican, Democrat, anything. If that's the case, you have to disclose and you have to live with it. What I don't understand is if these were supposedly Republicans that are implicated with Epstein and they're protecting it, then why didn't the Biden administration release it? They had all those years during the investigation. They had that stuff. Wouldn't they have put it out? I have to say, it looks to me like maybe both parties are implicated. But Pam Bondi shouldn't have said what she said, and now it's all this, and I don't think it's going away, and especially Dershowitz fanning the flames here. Lastly, I want to give a quick plug for Sam E. Antar. He's got great reporting on Mamdani. Check him out on X. Paul Morrow for the Ops Desk.